Hi everybody, it's Hannah Faye. Thanks for coming back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about linked lists. Linked list problems are super common in software engineering interviews. Most of the time interviewers are talking about singly linked lists, but I'm going to go over the different types because there's 3 different kinds. So the first type is singly linked list. In a singly linked list, each element has a link to the element that follows it. The first element is called the head, and the last element is called the tail, and the tail has an empty link. Here's a little picture I made of this. I think giving data structures a sort of visual image helps us to understand them. Singly linked lists are what interviewers are often wanting you to use to solve the problems, just for simplicity's sake. So the second type of linked list is a doubly linked list. In these lists, the elements have a link to both the next element and the previous element in the list. The third type of list is a circular linked list. And these can be single or doubly linked. There is no head or tail. Every element is connected to the next, and then the last element is connected to the first. If there is only one element in a circular linked list, it just points to itself. So a couple cons of these lists and why there's different types of lists. Definitely traversal. Like in a singly linked list, you have to start at the beginning of the list if you want to traverse the whole thing, because there's no previous pointers. You can't go back. So if you're looking through a singly linked list, you have to start from the beginning in order to traverse the entire list. With a doubly linked list, you can start anywhere because there's a previous and a next pointer. You could start a traversal in the middle of the list. In circular linked lists, if you don't pay attention to where you start, you could be infinitely looping through the circular linked list. Why do interviewers even want to see linked lists? They want to know if you understand pointers and references, and they also want to see if you have a really good understanding of linked lists. A lot of languages have lists built into their standard library, so you don't have to build linked lists over and over again when you're on the job. Interviewers want to make sure that you have a really thorough understanding of how they work. Now I'm going to show you an example of a singly linked list. So I'll be using C++, so I will be referring to the next link as a pointer, as that's what it is in C++. So you need to create your pointer, first of all. Store that in a separate data structure other than the list. Okay, so to create our node, let's make a struct. Let's call it node. And I like to enter my data element and the node element. So we're gonna call it next. So that is your struct. Now we want to create our list. So now let's create some nodes. So we want to create our head and point it at null. And then we create some other elements. You can call them, 1, 2, 3. I'm just gonna say head, second, third, fourth. Okay, so now we have a few nodes. Alright, so head. Now we create a new node. We do this for all of them. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you have your nodes done. So now let's add some data. Okay, so now head. So data, and make it whatever you want. And for simplicity's sake, I'm going to make all the nodes, like the first node 1, the second node 2, third 3, and the fourth one 4. So we have entered the data here. We've assigned the data. Now this is how you assign the link. So next, or whatever you named your node, so we want it to point at second. And that is how you enter your data and your link. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for the rest of them. Okay, now we're at the last node. And so when we're making our link, we connect it to null. Okay, because remember the tail has a null link. Oh, by the way, I forgot. You need to include this header, otherwise null is not defined, and you have to define it. So just include this header. And so this is your completed linked list. Hopefully this was very helpful in understanding how to implement a linked list. Watch out for my next video where I will be showing you how to traverse this linked list. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and hit like. I'll see you next time. Bye.